We are in a passion industry, and making sure that everyone who comes on board is passionate about what we're doing. That's an easy win right from the start. Hi, my name is Adam Broadbent. I am the co-founder and CEO of ZuBlu. ZuBlu is a travel platform for ocean experiences across the world. We partner with a careful selection of sort of eco-friendly and conscious operators, ensuring that our guests can explore the blue and dive green.
Perfect. And you have found yourself based in Bali to make this all happen. So what's life been like in Bali, really getting the business going and growing it while based there?
Yeah, so we actually, me and my business partner, Matthew Oldfield, he was based in Bali from the beginning, and I was based in Hong Kong. And we actually, for the first year and a half or so, worked separately as the only team, growing it through the initial stages, getting the kind of MVP going out. And it was actually only after we got some additional accelerator funding that I then moved to Bali, and we started growing the team from there. And it's been great. I mean, for us, obviously, everyone around the world knows Bali is a magical destination. But for us, it's great because we're very close to a lot of our partners that we showcase on our platform. And also there's some incredible talent here. So we've been able to grow a really fun, engaged and passionate team while having the benefit of doing it from, you know, a fairly sort of cost efficient location as well.
Absolutely. So tell me a bit about what it was like going through the funding process for this and how you really stood out to investors to get behind you.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So I think, I guess we've sort of had three stages of our funding so far. And the initial stage was kind of founder funding, as well as a few family and friends. We then got picked up by an accelerator based in Hong Kong, early 2019, and that's where things really exploded for us. They really kind of came in, shook the apple tree, so to speak, and challenged us a lot. Thankfully, those challenges stood up against our business model, but they really opened us up to a network and gave us a lot of platforms to showcase our offering. Really refined the way we spoke about ourselves and what we offered. And that has sort of allowed us to head into a kind of a significant seed funding round with the majority of investors based in Asia, kind of Hong Kong, Singapore, but also a few in the UK. So we actually went through a fairly lengthy sort of rolling funding process. And I guess from how we showcase ZuBlu, I mean, we always showed it as it is. But what was very exciting was for investors is that we were in a very niche space. We had a lot of domain knowledge. The team was a key part, especially kind of as an early stage investment opportunity. So all of that knowledge, the various skill sets, how we all complemented each other, that was always a big thing for investors. And yeah, the space itself is very exciting. No one's really operating in it. No one's really taken the challenge on, but we are cracking it, which is good. And then there's a few other aspects around that in terms of the passion of travelers in this space. The basket sizes are very healthy and things like that. So there were a lot of boxes that got a lot of people very interested. And being in a sort of passionate travel sector, it was always great meeting people. And if you met another scuba diver or an investor who happened to be a scuba diver, they immediately got the pain points. They understood what we were trying to solve, and that made the conversation very easy. That being said, the funding process itself was not that easy. And we only really started it properly towards the end of 2019. And I guess, a number of those old adages that you hear early on but don't want to believe, such as, never counting the money until it's in, or, expect to speak to 100 plus investors. They definitely all held true. The money thing was an interesting one. There were certainly some interesting moments that we had to kind of roll with. But in terms of speaking to a lot of investors, that was actually really valuable because we got our business model and our idea stress tested by a lot of smart people. So although those conversations were painful, it was always nice to kind of walk away and reflect on them. And at the end of the day, we've now got the most incredible group of investors that bring a whole variety of skill sets and experience and support to us. And we really couldn't be happier with everyone we've got on the journey with us.
So is there anything you do differently, or is there a different approach you would take if you were to go through it again?
Yes. Yeah. I think the one thing I talk a lot about now when I speak with other founders who are particularly early stage is I think very early on, I wasn't thinking about institutional investment. And that came a little bit later. But the moment institutional investment became part of our journey and our roadmap and how we were going to get to where we wanted to go, I think we could have been a bit clearer on the milestones we needed to hit and the type of metrics people were looking for. Everyone always talks about traction, but traction can be different things in different industries and to different investors. Sitting down and really thinking about, if I want to get to here to raise this, or I want to get here so that if I raise this, it allows me to do X, Y, Z. I think it would have been good to have kind of gone, building your portfolio is the key thing first. Then you go users, then you go sales traction. I think at the beginning we tried to do everything, and that meant that we had a lot of balls up in the air. Whereas kind of focusing on staged growth or staged focus on certain metrics probably would have made life a little bit easier. But we're building a marketplace, so it's got 3 pillars that we're trying to balance at all times. So, yeah.
Not always the easiest. So now you're out the other side of the funding. I guess it's done a few things. It's allowed you to grow out the team.
Yeah.
I believe you're in various locations now as well, where the founders are sort of together in Bali.
Yeah.
What have the big changes been since funding?
Yeah, I mean, the big changes have been the size of the team going up, and we went from a small team to a fairly substantial team very quickly. Finding the right people that were wanting to join the journey was a challenge. And I think we've been pretty good at making decisions quite quickly when changes are needed, and that's always paid off for us. Kind of trusted our gut on that. I think the big challenge for us has been half our team's in Bali and half our team's in another 7 locations around the world. So keeping that kind of unity and sort of collective feeling that we're all on a path together and all aligned is always quite a challenge. Making sure people don't feel forgotten or not part of the team.
And
so
how do you go about that? I think that's something that I guess many founders are facing now, irrelevant of where their team are, because everyone's been working remotely. So how do you achieve that, and what sort of worked with your team?
Just huge amounts of communication, really. We rely on Slack a lot for internal communication, but that's obviously very word-based and not so good. So we try and make sure we get a lot of FaceTime in with people. We try and do at least a monthly meeting where we get everyone on a call and we share everything that's going in each area of the business, so that everyone understands that we're all on a path together and how it all fits together, how the puzzle works. So that's been particularly positive and worked very well for us. And the other challenge is we've been a travel business. So a travel business in 2020, it's been quite hard, to keep chins up and to keep positive and keep building, keep moving forwards. So again, the whole lot of communication has been good. Our investors have been incredibly supportive. So having that outside positivity come in a lot helps keep everyone going as well. Because it's quite easy to sort of keep your head down and not really realize what you're achieving. So yeah, it's been certainly a big challenge, but I think we're doing quite well. I'd like to think we're doing quite well at it.
Right, and I suppose a big part of that are the people in the team. So how do you make sure you get the right people? And do you find it more difficult in certain markets with being based around the world? How does that look?
Yeah, it's that's been a real challenge. I mean, it's about 20 of us now, and we must have about sort of 8 or 9 nationalities, a lot of different cultures. People have come from different backgrounds, some corporate, some not. Some are very young, some are a bit older. So there is a constant balance and understanding how best to work with people and what gets them going. I think what's worked very well is that we are in a passion industry, and making sure that everyone who comes on board is passionate about what we're doing. That's an easy win right from the start because you're all on this mission and it's all aligned. So that's been very important. And then more recently, I like to know what people do outside of their work, like what really gets them energized. And if there's something there that energizes them that's really applicable within the business, then I feel like that's immediately a good thing. I guess I certainly have it. I imagine many do as well. You have a propensity to gravitate back towards what you like doing the most. So if that kind of central thing is what you want someone to be doing most of the time, that's quite a good way of making sure you get the right people in that are going to love doing what they do.
And I think one of the challenges a lot of founders face when they're growing the team is maintaining that company culture that the founders have set out from the beginning. And I think with being such an international team, you've got that added challenge of it's not just a growing team that's different ages and interests and whatever else, but actually they're located within different cultures generally. So how do you maintain that?
I don't know. I mean, that's a kind of a tricky one. I don't think I've got a clear answer for how we maintain that. I think it's the aligned passion again. I keep going back to that, but because everyone's passionate about the oceans, marine life, there's a lot of conservation, sustainability initiatives that we are working on as part of the business. So that's very energizing for everyone. I think that kind of shared collective, everyone's coming back to that one thing that keeps everyone really aligned and excited about what we're doing. And I think now it's getting to a point where the culture is almost being driven by the employees rather than us. Kind of especially within Bali, the team we have now in the office are full of happiness, and there's a lot of laughter, and that kind of creates this kind of enthusiasm and energy in the office, and that's not necessarily coming from the slightly grouchy founder. Sometimes it's coming from it's coming from them, and the energy that they're giving is great now, I think. So it's kind of maybe beginning to switch a little bit, which I think is nice.
So what's next for ZuBlu then? What are the next sort of big goals for the next, say, 12 months, 24 months?
So the big thing we've worked on this year and have just started launching is a new offering. So we have a number of resorts or liveaboards that we partner and promote on the platform. So that's kind of liveaboards are cruises or expeditions. But we've now launched what we call eco ventures, which are a selection of impact focused experiences that people can get involved in, whether it's volunteering or interning in kind of conservation work or citizen science research. So we're really excited about that because, you know, there's a lot of energy around travel being more positive, being more authentic, being more experiential coming out of all this. And I think the kind of offerings we have now are kind of the ideal one. You know, you can come to these remote destinations and be kind of socially distanced, but then you can be, you know, very connected with nature and the oceans. So I think as an offering, we're really excited about getting more people in the water and getting those cobwebs washed away after kind of a year or so indoors. So for us now, it's very much about helping people reconnect and really, from a business perspective, get that traction going again. But I think ultimately, for me, my passion is, we regularly get images shared from our guests back from their trips, whether it's been their first whale shark they've swam with or their first manta ray they've dived with, and getting those kind of experiences and happiness back is just awesome. So the more of that we can do, the happier our guests will be, the happier we'll be, and obviously happier our investors will be as well.
Yeah, so it seems to be a running theme that it all comes back to the passion. So even then mentioning just how you actually like to share the excitement of a diver's first experience in whatever it may be. So certainly sounds like an exciting time anyway for the business. So for those listening, where can they find out more about ZuBlu?
So you can come to our website, zubludiving.com, or just zublu.com. And the aim of the site is to support people in finding their ideal experiences, whether it's diving with sharks or swimming with manta rays or watching a turtle nest hatch and all the hatchlings scatter off down the beach. So it's a very experiential, preference-based search platform. And hopefully we can support you in finding an incredible ocean experience.